This is the story of Drew the Dragonfly by Dr. Angel Rodriguez. Drew the blue dragonfly flitted around the shallow marsh, basking in the warmth of the sun. "I love the early days of summer," he exclaimed. Just then his mother and sister appeared. "Hi, Mom! Hi, Gail!" he cried happily. "Isn't it a glorious day?" His mom and sister sang out in unison, "Yes, it is, Drew!" Suddenly, a swarm of dragonflies darkened the sky. To avoid crashing into them, Drew flew backwards, forwards, and sideways as he searched for his favorite meal, mosquitoes. Without meaning to, the little dragonfly wandered away from the pack in hot pursuit of a flurry of mosquitoes. When he noticed the sky was still dark, he thought to himself, "If it rains, I can perch on a blade of maiden cane grass or my favorite fragrant water lilies, which provide shelter during summer rains." Drew opened his mandibles wide to catch his breakfast when he realized the dark sky was actually caused by the shadow of a strange and wonderful creature standing over him. The creature was dressed in khaki pants and a white shirt and was holding a round glass object attached to a wooden stick. Drew peered through the glass, and the creature grew huge in size. Drew flew above the mysterious creature's head. He had heard tales of such a creature and seemed to recall his mother calling it a boy and warning him of the dangers of humans. "I better stay away so I don't become a meal," he thought as he hovered curiously over the boy. Suddenly, as though he could hear Drew's thoughts, the boy looked up, grabbing a mesh object from the grass, and began to chase the blue dragonfly. Drew flew backwards, trying desperately to escape the boy, when he felt a whoosh of air surround him. He flew faster, crashing into the woven mesh as it closed around him. Drew was in a net and wondered if the boy planned to make a meal of him. He was very scared and fluttered his wings to communicate his fear to the creature, hoping he would release him. From that point on, time seemed to pass in slow motion. The creature put Drew in a weird sort of observation cage. "What is this strange place?" he thought. "Why is he keeping me in here?" He tried to escape, but it was futile. The cage was solid on all sides, and the boy had wandered away from the marsh and entered into some kind of habitat that also looked solid on all sides. Unbeknown to the little dragonfly, the boy had taken him home to his room. Drew watched as the creature played with a screen that flashed pictures of other dragonflies. He thought to himself, "How many others has he captured, and why can't they see me?" The boy was actually Googling information about dragonflies. A few moments later, Drew heard strange sounds coming from the boy. They sounded something like this. "There are over 5,000 different species of dragonflies worldwide. Dragonflies are some of the fastest flying insects in the world. Some species can fly up to 30 miles per hour, 48.28 kilometers per hour. They are important to society because they eat hundreds of pest insects, including mosquitoes and aphids." Drew could not make any sense of the sounds. The boy stopped communicating and tried to feed Drew flies, but Drew was too frightened and confused to eat. The little blue dragonfly missed his home and wanted to fly free. He sat still, wondering if he would ever see his family again. He stared at the boy with sad eyes. His antenna drooped. The boy stared back, a frown crossing his face. Then a funny thing happened. Gradually, the frown began to turn up on each side, and before long, a wide smile spread across the boy's face. He grabbed the cage in a jarring motion and ran outside toward the marsh. At first, Drew was terrified by the sudden movement, but as the boy ran, Drew began to smell through his antenna the magical aroma of damp morning grass and maiden cane. The blue dragonfly realized he was home. He looked up and noticed an opening in the cage and sped out into the warm blue sky. Drew glanced back and noticed the wide grin on the boy's face. He turned back and landed on his shoulder, thanking the boy for setting him free. The creature took out a small contraption from his pocket, smiled even wider, and a brilliant flash of light lit up the sky. Drew flew home right away to tell his family about his adventure, the encounter with the human, the strange habitat, and the flash of light. His family hovered around him, mesmerized by the tale, except for his sister, who was skeptical about the story. Back at home, the boy downloaded the photograph he had taken of himself and the dragonfly onto his cell phone and posted it on Facebook for all to see. He thought about the importance of dragonflies to controlling the insect population and how beautiful and fragile these creatures were. The boy was so happy he released Drew. He rewarded himself with a large bowl of strawberry ice cream. The end.